I'm curious, when we talk about cost cutting and efficiencies, where do you see this going in terms of an impact on workers, and what can they start to think about in terms of becoming, I don't know, AI ready themselves to kind of compete in their roles?
It's interesting that you're saying that. I used to have those Uber chats where they were asking like what I do for a living, and I'm like doing generative AI. And, till 2 years ago, no one understood that. I'm like, okay, so imagine that with computer vision you can automate autonomous driving, and with semantic models you can automate how commercial is written, or novel is written, like even more than that, and. Of course, they were intimidating and stopped chatting, and I got my phone time, right? Uh, Now, I actually have different opinion. I think, or I see what we see is actually where companies and where the resources are put is actually augmenting more expensive jobs. So not necessarily the entry jobs or the blue collar jobs, right? In
No,
focus to be automated, actually more
that's the
expensive.
irony.
Yeah. So actually, more expensive jobs are being automated or augmented, at least. And this brings us to the AI literacy, right? So we had this data literacy discussion forever, right? Data literacy programs and impact, and namely, you taught your employees to read charts, to understand visualizations, play with BI tools. Not very impactful, just because tools supposed to serve you, and you're not supposed to have, my job to understand how to work with different tools. So right now we have AI literacy or agentic literacy to be introduced. We just released a blog on that actually yesterday, and AI agentic literacy speaks about how to develop critical minds and agency to work with all those tools. What should you accept, what you shouldn't accept. So the levels of trust which tool needs to provide you when you read and the answer doesn't resonate with you. You need to understand what exactly is wrong. You need to be smart about asking questions, not necessarily understanding data, but actually asking business questions, and it's up to tool to connect it to data. So be critical about how you understand the output of those agentic tools, and even more crucial, to understand how you convert them to actions, right? So decision-making and actions are more crucial part of our value as employees, as high-pay employees. And this is where generative AI is still, and it will not be very good for a long, long time to me, because there is simply not enough data to learn on decision making and action taking. It's not something which is very easy to pull from systems, right? So this is where we can keep our advantage and be creative about it.
But this is where I don't see how this ends well for humans. I mean, by putting agents on, I mean, by augmenting and enabling humans with AI agents and giving them these tools to be more efficient and to deliver more more work product. Isn't the agent essentially at that point just learning all the decision making that the human is porting back and forth into the system, all the questions it's asking, all the back and forth generative AI interplay? The agent is, as it should be, is absorbing all that as more data. All that's data. Every decision that is happening, every moment of time in that person's workday is data. What they're doing, how much time they're spending, how many emails they're sending, what they're doing all day long is part of the data set that the agent is absorbing. And it doesn't seem to me to be very long before the agent can effectively do that. There's nothing. I don't believe. Maybe I'm being cynical. I think we're all effectively just AI for all intents and purposes. I mean, we're large language models. We're only making decisions based upon everything we've absorbed over time in our large language model. We can't make a decision around something that we've never learned. We can only make decisions against the things we already understand and learn. And it won't be long before an agent can basically replicate us, our decision making process. I mean, tell me where I'm wrong there. I don't think we're all that complicated.
I can share my opinion. Of course, we're not all special snowflakes, and this is why we even have business, because otherwise AI will never scale. We do have a reasoning machine between those ears, right? So your life experiences, your experience in certain contexts, which you apply to different contexts. This what makes you a better reasoning engine at the moment, the generative AI. I believe this is what actually separates us from AGI, right? This ultimate AI goal, if you will. So to me, it's very straightforward to understand, okay, in this specific context, this is the input, and this is a decision I made based on this input. So building reasoning around very small function or niche action is simple, but building this machine which understands the plethora of contexts and what made you to make this decision, it might be, okay, it's like, you might remember that Michael Jordan, he went to play baseball at one point. And he wasn't good in the beginning, but then he said that he wasn't good because he didn't apply his basketball practice. He decided to learn the baseball practice from scratch. And then he started actually to use his basketball experience, and he became like the trajectory was very, very fast to become more experienced, successful in what he's doing. And this is exactly what we're saying. We might have experience which are not directly directed to specific functions, which actually make us more likely to succeed. So for example, in sales, right? Sales, it's a relationship building. You might want to have generative AI, which before meeting says, your opportunity to expand this customer is in those use cases, and you should pitch ABC. So this is something which generative AI can already, to some extent, give you. What this generative AI doesn't know, that you might share a workplace with a specific prospects, right? And you can share like this experience. Do you remember ABC? And this is how we solve it with a solution in your company right now. We can help you solving that because we already have customers in this segment. So your ability to share and reuse contexts, not necessarily connected to specific decision making, and bring reasoning, which is not directly derived from very narrow scenario, to me is the biggest differentiation between AGI and generative AI, which we'll have for at least a foreseeable future. Very long answer.
Well, what is that? What is that foreseeable future?
Foreseeable future.
So you almost got there. Like 10 years?
15, 20 years, I guess.
Yes, this is where, again, this is, to me, it's, I think and I hate to say these things because I consider myself reasonably, nuanced in my ability to make decisions, but I don't think we're all that complicated. I feel like, it's funny. I mean, for years now, we have had computers that can beat any human being at chess. And chess is a fairly complicated game with a lot of reasoning that goes on. You make a move, I make some set of moves, and I'm predicting where that will wind up. And right now, humans can't beat computers at chess. Now, I don't see how, most people don't know how to play chess. Most people aren't even able to get to that point. I don't see how, and Michael Jordan is one thing, right? You can't teach AI to be, 6'6" and jump and dunk from the foul line. That's a different, what Michael Jordan had is a different thing completely. I agree, you can't replicate that. But if Michael Jordan were sitting in front of a screen all day long and doing nothing but, I don't know, data analytics, He would be easily replaced. But despite his airness.
So you're asking right now if data analytics is even a practice, right? And I agree with you. I do believe in application-free future where questions or tasks meet data, meet context, meet reasoning, meet application workflows and governance impromptu in non-modeled environments. So if I do believe that data analytics as functions will be as they are at the moment, I believe they're going to reinvent themselves tremendously. You can, in any conference you go, you can see that the BI and analytics space is shrinking, right? On expense of, for example, data management vendors, which are exploding right now. Again, and it speaks about something. So we might just run out of electricity before we achieve AGI, right? So all those things is expensive, having those billions, trillions, zillions of variables and the automated impromptu data model to answer your question is very expensive. So we need to understand not only how we do it in a governed way, that we do not ruin the earth, but also understands like what's the ultimate target. Of course, revenue making this is why companies exist, right? But there is also shared common good we need to take into consideration as well.